Hello guys and welcome to Mark Shrimp Tanks. I thought today we'd take a little look at my orange eye blue tiger shrimp, right? And these are a slightly different variation to the royal blue tigers that you have seen before down here. Royal blue tigers are more of a solid colour without the tiger stripes. These ones are the variation that have the tiger shrimp stripes, but they're still blue. Right, and I'm going to name this video Are They Dead? Zombie Shrimp, something like that, because it is the comment I see the most when people see these shrimp. They call them the alien shrimp, etc, etc, because of the way they look and because of their eyes, right? So stay tuned, we're going to have a look at these shrimp. So this is the tank where my blue orange-eyed tigers live. And the first thing you'll notice, guys, is you'll think, wow, Mark, is that bricks in your tank? I'm like, yep, I've used them before in other videos, you guys have seen them. And I use them because they provide excellent hiding spaces, and also because there is a mass of surface area on here, right? And this, you guys will know me by now, I'm a big fan of biofilm for shrimp, and I want this tank to be teeming with little zombie shrimp all over the place. I want there to be billions of little dead looking shrimp. I don't mean dead, I mean dead as in zombie, all over the place, right? So it's important that you give them lots and lots of cover, lots of area for biofilm to grow. And the tank is pretty basic. This one is about 60 litres, feeding dish in the middle, sand on the bottom, 4 bricks. This is probably overkill for this size of tank. Filtered by a Pap Mini that has a lot of algae growing out the short-haired stuff. The only other things I have in this tank, guys, is a feeding dish for the centre, which I suggest you use. A lot of the time when I'm filming shrimp, I won't use a feeding dish just because it is more cinematic if I can get them to come right to the front to avoid glare and shooting through glass and all this kind of stuff. Okay, so the other things I have in here are some Indian almond leaves, the obligatory duckweed as always, and we have a strip light. This one is a bit big for this tank, but it does the job okay. Right, and the reason I want to show you guys these shrimp is because in the comments on a lot of my videos, I see a lot of you just don't want to watch the live streams. The live streams are actually full of information to do with the shrimp, but I get that a lot of you don't want to sit there for an hour to watch a video, right? So this is going to be kind of like the extra stuff I do that will be added to videos through the week as well. The other inhabitants in this tank are Malaysian trumpet snails, which again, for me, are obligatory. Here you can probably just see, we will switch to the macro camera in a few minutes, but here you can see the clear difference in these types of shrimp here. This is blue tiger shrimp, you can see blue tiger shrimp here, and here we have a variation that is more or less a blonde tiger shrimp. You see it? We will get a close-up of that in a second. We also have ram's horn snails in here. You can see there's quite a few little ram's horn snails. I am actually seeing some spixie snails in here as well, which is really nice to see because I had these guys for such a long time and I couldn't get them to breed, and now I'm seeing baby spixie snails in here as well. If we come up here, you can probably just see here at the back, some spixie snails, right? So that's probably the most I've ever seen all at once for in this tank. Now what we're going to do here is we're going to add some food. This tank will be on my stream later, so I'm not going to fill it with tons of food because I want the stream to see it as well. Right, so we have a couple of pieces of food here, and this is what I would typically feed this tank per day. Because it doesn't look like it, but there's actually a lot of shrimp in here. There's something like 30 to 40 adult shrimp in here, and they will all be in and amongst these bricks and behind it and stuff, right? So I like to feed a higher protein food at least once a day, and something extra I've been adding is just a higher calcium based food. And this is more or less for the snails, to make sure they get enough for the shells, right? So if I can break this with a bit of luck with my teeth, we will add a bit of this to the tank, right? And as I said, I will be streaming this later on. Maybe it will have already passed by the time you guys see this, but I want you guys to see the shrimp in their glory when we're feeding them, right? So let's get the wee feeding pipe. Get into the tank. I also use this pipe for mixing my RO water as well. So up here we put the little pellet piece of food in, and I do this, guys, just to get the food to the very front of the glass, like that. How easy was that? Now let's talk about this for a second before I go to macro mode, because you guys all know I like to go to macro mode and have a little bit of music to the back. I'll wait probably 10 minutes for all these shrimp to come out before I start filming them with the macro mode, because with this camera it's just pretty useless for seeing shrimp. This is a GoPro Hero 5 and the macro function on it is pretty non-existent. Right, so we will switch to the macro camera in as I said, like 5 minutes or something. But what we'll do first is I'll just go over this tank a little bit in detail, the parameters and stuff, because you guys will all ask me this anyway in the comments. As we said, these are blue tiger shrimp. They're orange-eyed blue tiger shrimp. In this tank specifically, there is some blonde shrimp as well. These would be classed as culls for this type of tank, right? So if I wanted to keep this as an orange-eyed blue tiger shrimp tank, I would have to remove these guys, because these guys will mate with the other shrimp and then they'll produce more blondes, right? So if I ever want to sell these, I have to remove as much of these as possible. And what I do with them is I put them in another tub, and you can sell these as blonde tigers, right? And when I do this though, guys, I think I will mention somewhere in the description where they've come from, because they do not breed true. I don't think I've ever had a blue tiger. Even the royal blue tigers, they don't breed true. You always get like a variation in the young. Right, it's quite interesting here is the first two to come over here and pick this up are actually two blonde tigers, which is pretty cool to see. As I said, you'll see that in a minute. Let's go over the tank just a second. Let's zoom back out here. Water parameters on this is heated to my room temperature. Again, 22 to 24 degrees Celsius all the time. Get my hand in here with a little pointy action like this for the thumbnail. 1, 2, 3. And I use reverse osmosis water. Let me get my hand back out there. Or do you guys like it in here? Or does it annoy you? Tell me in the comments if my hand annoys you. I use reverse osmosis water in here. If you're using tap water, let me quickly go over the parameters that you will be needing to have for this type of shrimp. I have bred them in hard water and soft water. I'm seeing that they do slightly better in hard water. So that's what this tank is. This is a harder water tank. I have a softer water tank over there with my royal blue tigers in it, that I use hard water in, which is kind of defeating the purpose a little bit of the activated soil, but it is working so far. But the soil will eventually run out of acidic elements in it, which will lower the water. You get what I mean. Right, so if you use tap water, as always, when you're using tap water, use prime or some kind of dechlorinator. Dechlorinate your water, let it sit in a bucket for around 24 hours at least, get some air going through it, right? And then measure your parameters, because if you measure it before, you'll get a false reading. And that is, guys, because tap water, when it comes out the tap, one, it is cold, right? That will affect your readings. The second is tap water is often pressurized with oxygen. You ever get a glass of water, fill it up, see the bubbles on the side? This is what it is. It's just like compression. It's a compression of the gases into the water. So when you let it sit, you see all the oxygen sticking to the glass at the side. Right? That's what you want to avoid with shrimp, because just that extra oxygen in the water will make the pH higher than it would normally be. Right? So you have to let it settle. You have to let that pH settle back down again. And this normally takes about 24 hours. If you add a pump, circulating pump to the tank, your reverse osmosis bucket or tap water bucket, whatever you use, that process is sped up a little bit. You also want to let the water heat up to the temperature of the room before you do any kind of water changes. Alright, I do 10% in this every week or two, and if I'm very honest, I tell my people in my streams and patrons and all that kind of stuff, sometimes it can be 2 or 3 weeks. Right? There's no hard set rule. These tanks, they also get topped up with reverse osmosis water, so this will drop over the course of the week a little bit, and I'll just fill it back up with reverse osmosis water. As we were talking about there with if you use tap water, the parameters that I have that I would suggest you use is something like under a 10 GH, right, for this. And you also want probably between a 3 and a 4 kH. I think the kH is probably more important for this, because you need something to, and a tank like this female here is gorgeous. I wish I had the camera rolling right now. When you have a tank like this, right, there is an issue with harder water tanks, when you use sand and inert things in the tank, right, there's nothing really there to buffer the water, right? So you need a KH value. It's very important. I think this is where a lot of people run into problems, and probably where I did before on previous videos. I made trying to keep this type of tank here. You guys will have seen me keep Blue Velvet Neocaridina before, and that wasn't the most successful tank, right? And that was probably because I was using the B buffer salt in a Neocaridina tank, right? So that's what you want to avoid. You need, on a sand or gravel based substrate, you need a KH value. Makes sense? Give me a thumbs up if it does. Thumbs down if you don't really know what I'm talking about. If you use reverse osmosis water, I use the salty mineral KH GH buffer, and I go by the recommendations that's on the tub. Right? And it's something like, I can't remember exactly, it's like 200 microsiemens or something. If you divide that by 1.56, this is the conversion, it will tell you the TDS required. Right? So for this, it's something like 191 if I was to guess accurately, something like that. I think with this all Neocaridina tiger shrimp, they are fine in anything under 200 parts per million. I know a lot of you guys will keep them in much higher parameters than that, but that is what I do. I'm going by what the manufacturer of the buffers say to go by, right? And these guys actually go to places and they test the water. I was saying this in my stream the other day about the Sulawesi buffer, why I use certain Sulawesi buffers compared to the other one, compared to other brands, right? Because I know the guys that make the buffer, they actually go to the places, they test the water, they take the water to laboratories, and they reproduce what the water conditions are exactly. Right, so that's why I always like the salt mineral brand of buffer, as an example. Not trying to like sell them, not trying to make this like an advert or anything, but you always go by the people you think know their stuff. Makes sense? So we were talking about the basic parameters there. We've covered temperature, I think we did, GHKH, TDS, anything else? I can't think of anything off the top of my head. The other important thing with these type of shrimp as well is, you might not know this, is these are blind. They have a mutation in the eye that makes them orange a little bit. I'm not sure if they're really orange or that's just the reflection, but these guys are blind. They're quite noticeably act a little bit different compared to the other shrimp, especially around breeding time. If you see them breeding in the tank, if you see them getting into their sexy mode, they tend to swim around quite aimlessly. Okay, so I hope this video has been kind of helpful to you guys. I think I mentioned the size of this tank, didn't I? Was it 50-60 litre or something like that? Part filter, double sponge modification on it, some Spixie snails. It's all easy stuff. These girls at the front here are buried as well, so the reason I went for these bricks, as I probably said already, I know I repeat myself a lot of times, is I want maximum breedage. Maximum breeding, and to get that you need maximum biofilm. I've had a lot of success using bricks in tanks before. You guys have seen that on my other tanks over there. I once had a tank with, it was easily 1,000+ little crystal reds in it that was exactly like this, except it only had one brick. Right, so that is the goal. This is how I set up my blue tiger shrimp tanks. Right, what we're going to do, guys, is I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope you found it informative. If you have, please smash that like button. Subscribe if you haven't already. And what's super important, guys, is because I see this in my analytics, is you need to press the bell notification as well. Click the bell notification if you never want to miss an informative video like this again. Okay, so we're going to go to the macro camera. I'll maybe clean the glass here a little bit first before I go to the macro footage. I'll show you guys them for about, I don't know, a minute or two, play some music, relax, have an awesome day, and I'll catch you in the next one. Happy shrimp keeping, Shrimp Fam.